The Gunnery, formerly a naval training centre in Woolloomooloo, was left abandoned and derelict for many years. In 1975, the federal, state and local governments designated the building an Arts and Crafts Centre. In 1985, squatters moved in to live, work, perform and exhibit their art. In 1987, the squatters received their first eviction notice. In 1989, the state government proposed to sell the site for development, but the federal government warned that the site must be used for the arts. The arts organisation Artspace offered the development proposal now favoured by the government. In 1991, further legal action resulted in the final eviction notice served to the squatting artists.
There's artists, there's people off the street, there's performers, there's musicians who, so many bands have come out of Gunnery, it's amazing, like Lubricated Goat have performed there and like rehearsed there, and so's the Beat Suburban, and like there's Gunnery bands that live there, like Peter, Paul and Helen and Munro's Fur and all sorts of bands, and visual artists, you know, people make videos there all the time and films are constantly being made because the spaces are just so incredible architecturally that they're just really amenable to working in studio space.
I don't know any one group of people, one tribe you might call it, with the same attitude to life that these people have and the same love for their art and without compromise, and that is what I stress. Well, there's nothing secure about the Gunnery. I mean, the place has always been a squat. There's nothing secure about the Gunnery, really. I mean, other than the people's strong beliefs and ideals in their existences and their beliefs in what they're doing.
I'm an artist that's worked with the artists at the Gunnery over a few years. I don't live there, but I operate out of there. The artists at the Gunnery have worked on my films. I'm an animator. They've been the painters, the cell painters, the background painters, the sculptors did props for me. The actors at the Gunnery acted in my film. The musicians helped me with the soundtrack. I've participated in the shows there for the last 5 years, showing films and stills and paintings.
This is where the real artists come from, the blokes, the people that are free and no inhibitions, no tradition, can brave enough to put it down. Maybe not all great, but greatness comes out of these artists. The best exhibition I ever seen was in here by the Gunnery.
I'd say the only difference between Sydney and Adelaide is that Sydney's got things like the Gunnery and King's Cross, where the sort of wild, more sleazy sorts of lifestyles can happen, and that's what makes a centre, you know, exciting. New York's got it, everyone wants to go to New York. Young artists would probably rather stay in Australia than have to go off that experience overseas if there's a place like the Gunnery. There has to be a place like this.
Well, the situation as it appears to me is that the state government wants to evict the squatters and artists from the building for the reason that they want to change the nature of it to create an art centre there. But it's going to be an extremely different kind of art centre.
What they propose to do is turn this building into offices for government arts groups. All very well and good. But I mean, they're not going to have enough room. They're going to have to gut the theatrette, which is a unique space, historical space. The Dome is a historical space.
Stephen Duffield from the Ministry of the Arts declined to be interviewed, but suggested we speak to Sally Quacco of Artspace about the government's plans for the building.
I was told that the New South Wales Ministry was taking up the whole proposal of the Gunnery and basically using Artspace's concept of a building which would be a mixed-use structure. That is, it would house a number of arts organisations in Sydney. So there would be a gallery, which is Artspace. There would be a whole floor for studios for artists, which Artspace would administer. And then there would be a whole floor of offices for organisations which are resource groups for visual artists. So you have organisations like NAVA, Arts Law, the Art Workers Union, and then of course there was the Biennale, and then there were options and possibilities for other people and organisations that might also be there, for example the Video Festival and the Super 8 group.
Well, they wanted to evict the artists from the gallery.
I think that's a shocking thing in their lowest form. It's typical Australia, just because these poor people are struggling on, they're there to make it. There's nothing wrong with them, there's nothing bad in the place. I've never seen anything bad, but that's, and they're together there and battling on. Now in Amsterdam, they don't take artists away from artists. When they evict artists, they build them a studio first. And they go, you would like to have this one. They don't put another artist in their place.
I think it's wrong for people to say, well, we think as bureaucrats that we can bring an end to it now. I think in years to come they'll be judged to be completely Philistine and fools.
Well, I dispute the term of bureaucrats to describe what's going to happen in the Gunnery. Of course, people can say that if they want to, and I think it's a very easy way of dismissing just what this building is going to be and what it's going to mean for the arts in Sydney.
The worst thing is that, the worst implication is that, once again, people who live off art, such as Arts Law, Biennale people, Australia Council, etc., that is people who live off art but don't actually produce it, will have taken a place off practising artists. And I've been working in art for 25 years and I've seen it happen over and over again, that it's always much easier to justify people taking over space to fill out forms and get government money than it is for artists to keep it. And I think it says a lot about the spiritual climate of Australia at the moment. They'd rather have art administrators than practising artists. And I think, well, I'm sure that a lot of the greatest young talent in Australia is coming out of the Gunnery, and that's why I've curated these two shows.
And I think that there's going to be far more artists in Sydney benefiting from what the Ministry are proposing now and what Artspace originally proposed than the group of artists who are there at the moment. And that's not to deny what they're doing or the value of what they're doing. But in terms of Artspace and what's going to be there, it's going to be far more important, and there are going to be far more people and artists who benefit from it.
On the 28th of March 1991, the Gunnery artists appeared in the Supreme Court to defend a claim of possession by the New South Wales Land and Housing Corporation. Marcus, what happened today in the court?
Well, we got 2 more months, which is fantastic, because it means we can put our show on, and it also means we're not going to be evicted immediately, and it gives us time to fight to save the Gunnery.
I love you. I love you. You know I love you, Eleanor Collins.
We've had so much criticism from all sorts of areas. We've been called dirty squatters by these art groups. Sally Quacco reckons that she initiated the concept of a gallery down there when there's been a gallery running for 5 years already that's completely open to artists. We've had articles saying we live in odoriferous splendour, which is basically a stinking hovel, you know, da-da-da-da.
This is the shit that they're trying to stick in our mouth all the fucking time so that we can't get our fucking opinion across. All the time, every time we go to the papers, they've made the phone call first. So we can't get our fucking voice heard by the people. So how can the people have any kind of opinion when you've got a bunch of fascist fucking liberal assholes fucking up there telling the papers what to fucking write?
Can't they see the romance of anything, you know, those people? Can't they see the romance of the dirty, decadent lifestyle or whatever. I don't know if you can say that, but I mean, I think the Gunnery is so beautiful, you know. It's so like those dark, dirty corridors and all that kind of sleazy, nasty, threatening feeling, you know. That's just so lovely. It's like kind of Louis XIV's palace, 20 years down the track, you know, after they'd all had their heads chopped off, and no one had lit the candles for all those years. That's what it's like to me. It's just so lovely.
They basically said that we have to be out by the 27th of May, which is interesting because it's after the election. Nobody can say what's going to happen at that stage. It's possible that the Ministry of the Arts and the police and Transfield might bring their heavies and come down with walkie-talkies and iron bars and coercively throw people out. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there could be a climax in May. Yeah, definitely.
We are supposedly the squatting scum of society. We're the weirdos, the freaks, whatever they call us.
Do we get $70,000 a year from the government to put our shows on? No, we don't. We get nothing. Yet the private sector government, as they call themselves, want everything to be done with no government funding. And we do it with no government funding. And then what happens when we do it with no government funding? They hate us because we directly threaten their whole fucking funding system. Well, fuck them.
Performance art really is a reflection of society as, you know, as the artists see it. And we also see like being thrown out of here as a breach of freedom of expression. Yeah, so on the 28th we'll stick around and we'll fight because, you know, we've come so far now, and the only thing we can do, I mean, if they bash us up, you know, I mean, all we can do is stand there with bloodied faces and go, this is it, this is life.
Today is the 28th of May, and 5 years of governmental paperwork comes to a head today. Although maybe it won't come to a head, because it looks like the Sheriff's Office hasn't been notified to come down here until the 30th of May, which is on Thursday. And no one seems to know what's happening. So we're just nailing up the doors and getting our cans of baked beans in a pile in the corner and waiting.
You know, be involved in this one way or the other. Yeah. But all I know is that currently the owner of the premises, which is the New South Wales Land and Housing Corporation, intends to take possession of the property on Thursday. You or anyone else here are compelled to be out of the premises on Thursday at the hour of
Since the police came around yesterday and I was talking with them, I've got fears now of being out on the street in my cosy bed and my fridge full of food and all of that locked up here in a building that is more than likely going to stand empty for another umpteen years.
Well, they're going to try and evict us at 10 o'clock, but we're not going to go.
Everybody was hanging out the windows waiting for the cops to come and stuff, and waiting for the big ultimatum, or, you know, any sort of clash or anything, and the police balked. They didn't come.
I think they're going to come down for a surprise attack.
I'm gonna make it hard for you. Drag it through the shit. Gonna rub your nose in it. Hard for you. Hard for you. Hard for you. That's person last week. They were all given notice of the intention that the warrant would be executed at some time after 10 a.m. as of yesterday morning. Now, today the warrant has been executed. All people have been removed and there's been no problems associated with it. Anyway, look, all the best to you all, and I hope it works out.
Real art carries on. Art is living and alive, and people live it, and the Gunnery crowd will get it together wherever they go.